Hi and welcome to this video. It's been a while since I've done one. So in this video, it's about C1, possibly B2, but mostly C1 level language. I'm going to look at inversion and advanced conditionals, things like not until, seeing as, not long after, knowing what I know now, even if, and assuming that. So that's the kind of grammar that's in this video. And then some advanced type vocabulary, things like dry run. A dry run is when you practice something, when you try it for the first time maybe. Teething problems. These are the small little problems that you would expect to happen when you do something for the first time. Crisis averted, when you avoid a problem. More fool me, it's when we're a little bit naive and we make a mistake that we shouldn't have made. Soaked through, when everything is very, very wet. We say, oh, I was soaked through. And to be, little did I know. Little did I know, to be aware of something in the past. Okay? So, my story. The point of my video. Well, my son and I, we've decided that we want to take up bike touring. And we're going to do an epic cycle, okay, which will be part of another video at another time. The idea came to us over Christmas. I was watching a video on YouTube and my son happened to see it. And it was about someone doing the Trans-Pyrenees between Spain and Portugal. And he said, oh, I'd like to do that. And I said, I'd like to do that. And then thought that's a lot of climbing. So we've come up with another idea, which will be another video. Anyway, so as I've said, we've decided we're going to go on an epic bike ride. And to do that, we had to buy things. So we had to buy our tents, we had to buy racks for the bike, panniers, cooking equipment, etc. And we decided to do a dry run. We decided to do a small trip. So we decided to go from Carrabal de la Cruz, which is in the region of Murcia, to Boas. It's a very small 23-kilometer cycle, but as I said, it was a dry run. So we wanted to test things. A dry run was a bit ironic because it was anything but a dry run, but I'll talk about that later. Anyway, we knew that we'd have some teething problems. We weren't wrong. No sooner had we set up the bikes, we'd taken them off the bike racks from the car, when my son said, Dad, you've got a flat tire. So changed the tire, packed everything back up, got on the bikes, and we headed off. We were only, as I said, it was only a short ride, about 24 kilometers, so nothing major. The ride itself was pretty nice. It was very scenic. We went through a pine forest, a big huge pine forest. There were lots of vineyards where they grow grapes to make wine. The area is famous for wine. And there were almond trees with almond blossoms. And if you've seen the other videos, you know I like almond blossoms. Anyway, that was all along the Via Verde del Noreste, the Greenway of the Northwest. So anyway, we got to the campsite in Boas. And not until we set up the tents, did I realize that I'd left the pump for blowing up the air mattresses, the pump for inflating the air mattresses. I'd left it in the car with all the messing around with changing the tire. I'd forgotten the pump. I had forgotten the pump. That's perfect. Anyway, earlier I'd noticed, past perfect again, I'd noticed that there were registration plates on the cars. So there were cars from Spain, there were cars from England, and there were cars from Holland, from the Netherlands. So I thought, oh well, between English and Spanish I can ask people for help. Little did I know that in this day and age, people don't really use air mattresses. So they don't really have pumps. So we had a problem. Until we found this wonderful Spanish lady who came up with the idea of using a hairdryer. The irony of using a hairdryer was not lost on me. Anyway, crisis averted. We blew up, we inflated the air mattresses, and off we went to find a restaurant. We had dinner, and then we went back to the tents for an early night. Now, seeing as we were only staying for one night, I thought I hadn't brought pillows. I assumed that we could just roll up our clothes and use them as a pillow and we'd be fine. More fool me. So it was very uncomfortable. Clothes didn't stay together and we basically didn't have pillows for the night. But lesson learned. Anyway, not long after we settled in for the night, then it started raining. Not long after we settled in for the night, that it started raining. And when we got up in the morning, everything was soaked through. It was really cold and miserable and horrible. So that was the end of the trip. We cycled back to Carrabal. That was uneventful. We loaded up the car and we drove home. So, knowing what I know now, would I do anything differently? Well, first of all, I thought it would be plain sailing with a few teething problems. However, as it turned out, we had a cold, wet and uncomfortable night. And to be honest, even if we had brought pillows, I still think it would have been uncomfortable. So, all things considered, and assuming that we have learned our lessons, I think, yes, it was a good trip and we've learned our lessons, and when we go on to do our epic trip in the future, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. We'll see. So, anyway, there we go. That was my story. I've used some advanced language, I've used some advanced grammar, and I've used some idiomatic phrases. Hopefully, they are useful for you. Well, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and that's it. Thank you very much. Until the next one. Bye.